Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this card making project. This project we're going to be using the gorgeous Griffin pocket dies and matching die cuts and one or two other items that she's got through her collections. Some, of the projects that we use some of the older items with the newer items just to show how everything will work together so that you get more value out of your book, more bang for your book, and that way you're never going to have your items just sat on a shelf. You're always going to be incorporating them with other things. Everything I do use I shall put in a detailed list on my blog because sometimes, my memory gets a bit fuzzy and I might forget to say a particular item. So there'll always be a detailed list on my blog. And I know I shouldn't mention this, but I'm asked quite a lot about my nail varnish. I've started putting it at the bottom of the projects for what colour I'm wearing and where you can get it from, because people do ask, people are interested, which is great, and I love my nails. I take good care of them. So thanks for asking, but the details are going to be there now on the blog from now on. So without further ado, should I say, the blank card that we're using is the 7x5 inch card. And this is my favourite size of card, and I've got to admit I've stopped using my cardometer for the last couple of projects. We'll start using it again next week, and then we can see just the ratio and the size of the card that I'm using. It gives you a better idea. So the first thing I'm going to do is use my trusty bone folder to make sure I've got a nice sharp crease along the edge of the card, because that makes it look professional and it makes it stand nice and proud on the mantelpiece, because you want your card on the mantelpiece, not on the windowsill or shoved at the back of a drawer. So not that there's anything wrong with having it on the windowsill. Some people get a lot of cards and they have them all over. Speaking of which, it's my 50th very soon. I know, hard to believe, I'm 50 years young on the 11th of September. So if you want to send me a virtual birthday card and put it on my Facebook wall, I'd be very grateful to see your cards that you make. I make them all year for you. So please make me one and put it on my Facebook wall. That would be great. That's the 11th of September. And I think that's Anna Day in the US. So for all you HSN fans, I think you've got Anna that day. So, okay, carry on, let's craft. Now the first thing I've done is for the insert, I've cut a panel to fit the inside of this card. Now this is ivory cardstock. It's actually just a little bit lighter weight than cardstock. And what I've done is I've made a very rough scallop pattern along the edge by stenciling. Now one of the things for the front of the card, I've made a scalloped layer, and I've actually used, do you remember those old decorative scissors that you've got shoved in drawers and in pots all around your craft rooms and your offices and your dining rooms that you've not used for ages? Well, I dug my decorative scissors out and I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a scalloped layer, and that will work perfectly on the front. But the edge that I've cut off, the waist as it were, I've used to make a very rough kind of stencil, just to give the edge of the insert that little bit of something different. And I think it just works. I've just used a pink ink just to give it that little bit of something, and I'm just going to stick it into the centre of our card, trying to get it nice and straight. There we go. And not that straight, but it works for me. So that's our base layer of our insert. Now I said that we were going to be using the pocket dies and the embellishments, the die cuts. So I've got 3 of the die cuts from the pocket embellishment kit, and I've taken them through my Xyron machine. I've got one of the sentiments, and I'm using the exact same sentiment on the front as on the insert. I've got one of the pink roses, and then this is from the Fancy Flourish dies. I've just die cut using some of Anna's gold cardstock, the metallic cardstock, and I'm going to use these to decorate the inside of our card, because I think something just that little bit different can work for an insert as well as the outside, because after all we spend so long decorating the outsides of our cards, why shouldn't we do the inside as well? That's my theory. Everything's beautiful in the making, we just make it twice as beautiful by doing the inside. I think the saying on my blog, From Flat to Fabulous, covers it for inside and out. So I've got one of the Fancy Flourish dies, and I'm simply just going to attach that across the underneath of the sentiment. I'm not worrying too much about where I'm putting it, as long as we can read what the sentiment says. And then I'm going to add the rose just underneath the sentiment. Now, as I'm going to attach it, I'm thinking I need to trim just those couple of leaves away, because I'm going to add it on an angle, and then it can still fold up. And I'm just going to take the extra little section of the rose away. We're not losing any of the detail, we're just kind of making it fit. Because don't forget, once you've purchased these are yours, and if you need to trim them for your projects, then that's absolutely fine. You don't have to use them as they are. So that is my insert finished. Just checking the card still folds, because I've taken the rose right up to the crease. It'll still stand up. It does look as though it's hanging over the edge. It's not. And it's so pretty. Our little flourish and our rose underneath, and the stenciling round the edges, something a little bit different. And we've still got room to write a nice message to whoever's getting the card. So now we can turn our attention to the front of the card. Now, I think the front is going to be spectacular. When I prep and put everything together, I can imagine it in my head of how it's going to look, but I think this is going to work a lot better, I think. So the front of the card, the first layer is one of Anna's 7x5 metallic layers. I've embossed it using the Artful Patterns embossing folder Floral Ground, and it's just something different. Now you can see I've die cut two of the Fancy flourishes through the centre, because I'm going to be using those for the front of the actual card here. You've got one in the centre, in the insert, and one on the front. But I didn't want to waste it, so I'm going to use the rest of it as the layer. So I've got flat tape on the back of it. Now, just because I've used the centre of this for die cutting, that will cover over. This doesn't automatically turn into a piece of scrap card now, because you're not going to see this. The next layer I've got for it will cover it up. And this is the layer that's got the scallop design on it. I showed you the scallop edges for the insert, where I've used them for stenciling. So this is a scalloped edge from the lovely layers that I've cut it using decorative scissors. I've just got flat tape on it, and it's going to cover this up. So we won't see the section in the middle where we've die cut. So there we go. Next, we're going to cut, well, we've already cut one of the pocket dies. I've used Anna's metallic card again in the gold, and I've already scored the folds that there is on the die. I've scored them and folded them under, and I've got red tape on these, and so I'm simply going to add this just to the bottom of the card over the top of our previous layer. Now I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm just going to press it down nice and firmly so that red tape will take hold of the layer underneath. Now if you want to add a little dot of glue as well, you can, but I found red tape works, you know, it'll stay on there. So whatever you use, if you've got a nice strong tape or a nice strong glue. So that's our pocket. It's ready-made pocket, you can see it down there. And now I'm going to add from the pocket die cut collection a picture of the little birds. I do like this, and I'm going to add it at an angle. I'm sliding it into the pocket and I'm just going to angle it just to one side and press it down. Next, I've got the sentiment. Now it's the same sentiment that we used for the inside. I've got flat tape at the bottom and just a little bit of 3D tape at the top. There we go. And I'm going to angle that to the opposite way of the birds, just so it hangs over the layer previous to it, just to give it a little bit of a lift and a little bit of more interest. Next, we've got our flourishes, and I've got a little bit of tape on them, so I'm going to add one flourish to one side over the birds, and then I've got a second flourish that again I've got a little bit of tape on it because the tape and the bottom of the flourish is going to be hidden. So I'm going to just pop that in the other way like that, she says, and we'll have it there. I think that's where it wants to be. And then I've got one of the roses on 3D foam at the top and flat tape at the bottom, and I'm going to slide that into the pocket as far down as it'll go, so it kind of goes over the edge of the pocket at one section but covers our flourishes and part of the sentiment. And then to finish the card, I've got two little pink bows, and I'm going to simply add these at the bottom. Now I can either add them here. I was going to add them here, but I'm kind of on the hoof now because I'm thinking one here and one here. I do like that option, but I have a little bit of OCD about leaving a hole without a bow. So I'm thinking I should put that on there, but then that might cover up the sentiment a little bit. So then I'm resorting back to that idea. So I'm going to go with this way, and hopefully you might agree, you might not. I'm going to try and tuck one of the ribbon tails. I can't do it. So we'll have to just spray them open a little bit so we can see our sentiment. I'm going to go with that. There we go. Decisions. Decisions made. Yes, I'm happy with that. Very pretty. If I could straighten that bow up. There we go. Not just you then, it's me as well. I do like the pockets. Very pretty. And just the embossing on the background, it just all works so well. And then the inside with the flowers as well and the flourishes stands up nicely. You won't need any bigger envelope because the only actual foam you've got is on the back of the flower and then the back of the bows. So no extra height on there. Just such a pretty card. Definitely going to go on the mantelpiece there, because that detail of the pocket and the flourishes just works so well. I do hope you enjoy my projects. Please give me the thumbs up if you do. Please get in touch, let me know. Let me know what you like, what you'd like to see. I can't promise, but I can do my best. And I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.